Hello! Today I've come to Hounslow Heath after recently discovering something very intriguing and exciting. Right, follow me. Today Hounslow Heath is a nature reserve. But beneath the surface lies a dangerous and fascinating story. I'll be following the Heath's history hike to uncover the hidden history of the Highwaymen of Hounslow Heath. Now, in the mid-17th century, this was considered to be London's version of the Wild West, where every journey was dangerous. The culprits? Highwaymen. But what's a highwayman, I hear you ask? Highwaymen were armed robbers who travelled by horse and stole from rich travellers in coaches. Bizarrely, many highwaymen were glamouised and became celebrities like actors or singers are today, perhaps because of their dashing, rogue stereotype. Right, first on the map is one of the first ever highwaymen, Moll Cutpurse. Moll wasn't actually a highwayman at all, but a highwaywoman. Her journey begins 400 years ago in the year 1600, when she was still known by her real name, Mary Frith. So, who was Mary Frith, and how did she come to be known as Moll Cutpurse? Well, Mary Frith was born in the mid-1580s. Fated to a life of servitude or marriage, Mary was set on living neither. No thanks. She wore men's clothing in public, most improper for ladies back in the day, smoked a ton of tobacco, kept parrots, and bred mastiffs. She began her career as a criminal, stealing purses around St Paul's Cathedral in around 1600, earning her nickname Moll Cutpurse. But it was the next stage of her scandalous career that gained her true celebrity status. In 1651, during the English Civil War, Moll Cutpurse took to her horse in Hounslow Heath and became a highwaywoman.
Stand and deliver.
Now, this career wasn't without its risks, for it was during the English Civil War that Mary nearly met her untimely end when she stole 250 gold coins off a very rich and powerful man named General Fairfax, who just so happened to be Oliver Cromwell's right-hand man. So, Fairfax had her arrested and she faced the death penalty at Newgate Prison. But Moll managed to escape the noose by bribing her way out of prison with an impressive £2,000. That's worth a whopping £235,000 in today's money. Moll certainly was an interesting character, and considering she was a notorious thief who was always running into trouble with the law, she lived to the impressive age of 74. The fate of most highwaymen in the 17th century wasn't so kind. The end of the English Civil War saw a long period of Puritan austerity, meaning people didn't have much money, and to add insult to injury, Christmas had been banned for several years. Basically, everyone was fed up, and by the 1670s, people were desperate for a bit of glamour and excitement. It's not surprising, therefore, that our next highwayman became somewhat of a celebrity. And Hounslow Heath was his patch. He was French-born Claude Duval, who worked as a footman in the service of a very rich French family who had been kicked out of France. That was until he realised he could make much more money robbing from the rich instead of working for them. He was dashing, charming, and disapproved of using violence. In fact,
Monsieur Duval was a bit of a ladies' man, befitting every stereotype of the gallant highwayman. One of the most famous reports is of Duval holding up a coach with a nobleman and his lady.
Stand and deliver.
In her attempt to appear unafraid, the lady reportedly took out a flageolet, which is a little bit like a recorder, and began to play. Upon seeing this, Duval then took out a flageolet of his own and played along before asking the nobleman for a dance with his lady.
Yeah, I had this dance.
Once they'd finished, Duval escorted her back to her carriage and said,
Lovely dance, £100 please.
Sadly though, Duval's career was to be a short one, as he was captured drunk in a tavern one night and sent to Newgate prison, where he was, much to the outrage and dismay of the ladies, sentenced to death.
The ladies of the court, and even King Charles II himself, tried to secure his release, but the judge, William Morton, was so set on making an example of the man that he threatened to resign should Duval be let free. And so the king gave in, and Duval was executed aged just 27. Now, it was over 50 years until another highwayman of Hounslow Heath came close to matching his fame. This man was 16-string Jack. Who was 16-string Jack? What was his real name? And how did he come by this mysterious nickname? The early life of our next celebrity highwayman is unclear, with many contrasting stories. What we do know is that his real name was John Rann, and he ended up working in London as a thief, a pickpocket, and later a highwayman. So let's take a look at how that came about.
John Rann was working as a coachman in London by the time he was 14. Now, as a lowly coachman, John lived beyond his means, wearing silk stockings and silk breeches, which had 8 silver-tipped strings on each leg below the knee, hence his nickname, 16-string Jack. He ultimately racked up a huge debt, so he too turned to a life of crime and gained an exciting and romanticised reputation as a highwayman with wit and charm for ladies. 16-string Jack was arrested several times on charges of highway robbery, but 6 of his cases were dismissed due to lack of evidence. This made Jack confident beyond measure, and he even began to boast about his crimes.
Piece of cake.
In fact, he was so confident of being released on his 7th and very last trial that he organised entertainment for himself and his friends after the trial. But the life of a highwayman was infamously short-lived. Few made it past their mid-20s before being caught and executed. So was the fate of 16-string Jack. He lost his 7th trial and was executed aged just 24 on the 7th of December 1774. But not before ensuring his reputation as a ladies' man was forever remembered. Apparently, he entertained 7 women for dinner the night before his execution. That sees the end of my Hounslow Heath history hike. I've really enjoyed travelling back in time in this corner of London, so rich in history. Walking along these paths, it's not difficult to imagine coaches rattling past and shrewd and roguish highwaymen lurking in the bushes ready to pounce.
Stand and deliver.
Here comes one now. Right, let's get out of here. So who is your favourite highwayman? If you enjoyed this film, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content coming soon.